Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we read the story, The Apple Pie Tree by Zoe Hall. And so today we're going to make our own apple. And before we start our apple, because you're going to have to decide what color your apple will be, I'm going to show you some of the many different kinds of apples that you can get. This one has 15 different kinds of apples on it. And there's even more than that around. But this shows you there's red and yellow and green and ones that are two colors. And these are some pictures that show you. This is at a farmer's market. And here they're getting apples, and that's a cider press to make apple juice and apple cider. And here's a farmer showing you his green apples on the tree before he picks them. And then here's a big basket of green apples. And then of course, here's just a pretty picture of another apple in the tree that kind of has some red and some yellow in it. And so I've brought 5 different apples, and they're all different. I have one that's totally red, a red delicious, and then I have a green one that is used when you bake apple pies, and this is a Granny Smith. And then here's a yellow one called Ginger Gold. And then we have this one that has some yellow and some red, but this is probably half and half. And this one is called Ambrosia. And then this one is red with just a little bit of yellow. And it's not quite as deep red as this one is. And this is called a Gala. And so these are very good to eat. And some are better for just eating with your snack. And some are better for cooking. So today, we're going to make an apple that you can see the inside of. And I'm going to cut this one so you can see what it looks like inside the apple. So we have the seeds, and we have the white fruit part. We have the skin, and the stem and leaves where it has been hanging in the tree. And today, we're going to use scissors for 2 things, for the leaves and for the stem. But for this part, we're going to use our fine motor skills and rip up our paper to make the apple. I've ripped up some, and I'm going to make another red one. But if you have green construction paper and you really like the green apples, you can make a green apple. Or if you really like the yellow apples, you can use yellow construction paper to make a yellow apple. Or you could mix them and have some green and some yellow, or some yellow and some red. It would be your apple. So before we start, let me cut into this apple so you can see what it looks like inside. And this will be for a parent to cut, not for little kids to cut. And inside, let's see, here you go. You see how it's white inside, and right in the very middle where the seeds are. It won't hurt you if you eat the apple seeds, but they don't taste very good. So it's better just to eat the white fruit part and the skin, because that has lots of good vitamins in it. That part of the apple, instead of the stem and the seeds. So I'm going to put these away for a minute and show you what we're going to do. In fact, I'm going to move all my apples over here so they can join the pumpkins. So you need 1 paper plate, glue, whoops, a marker, a brown marker or a brown crayon, a pair of scissors, and then your construction paper. And you don't need very much of the green or the brown. And for this part of the apple, it really only takes about a half a piece of paper. So I'm going to go ahead, cut this in half, and then show you what we're going to do, even though I already have some red that is torn up. So, to start with, let's go ahead and do the seeds. Take your marker or your crayon and just make some brown ovals in the middle. And you can count them, your seeds, as you're doing this. And they stay right in the middle of your apple. So let's see, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 apple seeds that you can see. Now for the stem, I'm just using a small piece of this paper, and I'm just going to cut it like this. I'm not even drawing a stem because stems aren't perfect. They can be like a lot of different shapes. And here's my stem. And then for my leaves, I have a small green rectangle. I'm going to fold it in half so it makes a smaller green rectangle. And I'm going to cut 2 leaves at one time. And they're kind of like the shape of an oval, but it has points at the 2 ends. If you would like, you can certainly use a pencil and draw your lines and then cut them out. And so now I have my 2 green leaves. Then for my apple part, like I said, I used red. And I have some red that I already ripped up at home just to save a little time. I have some pieces that are big and some pieces that are smaller. And as you can see, they're not the same shape. They're not the same size. And that just helps it make it a little bit more realistic. Everything's not always the same shape or size. So if you have your piece of paper, all you have to do is start ripping. You just tear it. And depending on how much time you have or how old you are, you could make small rips or you could make bigger rips. You don't want them too terribly big, like you wouldn't use this and glue that on. You do want to make them a little smaller. And to save time, I put 2 pieces together and then I just rip them. See how easy that is? And I already have all these little pieces now. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing. And I'm going to start by putting my stem and my leaves over here, out of the way for a minute. And then, you know how I always tell you that it's better to glue the small piece instead of gluing the big part? Well, today, I'm taking that back. Today, we're going to glue the big part and then put the small pieces onto it. Otherwise, you would be taking all day to make your apple, and you don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start and we're going to put a little glue around the edge, and where I'm putting the glue is on mine, On my paper plate, it's the edge that's kind of bumpy. And I just got glue here, and then I'm just going to take pieces of paper and put them down. And you'll see that this is like 2 shades of red. And I'm going to try and get it so it's mainly covered the white part of the plate that's around the edge. And if you find that one piece like this one, that takes the whole space up. And so then you say, well, you left a little piece there. Well, I can go back, and if I don't want to use a whole big piece, just go like this, make it a little small piece, and stick that right in there. So see how quick that was? I think what's going to take the most time is probably ripping up the paper. So now I'm down to the part where I need more glue. So like right now, if I had had some yellow paper that I had ripped up, I could be putting in some yellow pieces in with the red and getting an apple that was like this. But I forgot to bring yellow today. I only have the red. So you don't have to make this exact. If it goes over the edge, that's fine. No big deal. And you just go around and go around until you get all the way around the paper plate. And this is very good fine motor, working on your fine motor skills. So see, look how quickly I'm already halfway done my apple. Time for some more glue. So I just keep going all the way around my edge. If you make small pieces of paper, it'll take you a little bit longer than if you use the larger pieces of paper, but it's kind of nice. This is kind of what's called a mosaic, and you have some big pieces of paper and some small pieces of paper. And my last part of the skin and so now I have sticky fingers, so I'm going to wipe them off for a second. So now I have my skin done. So the only part, and see, I didn't even use all the paper that I had ripped. I didn't use very much of my half a piece of paper at all, did I? So I'm going to save this for another project. And so now, to finish this off, I'm going to glue my leaves and my stem. And just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and glue my leaves on, glue my leaves onto my stem and then glue the whole thing onto the plate. So on this time, I am going to glue the small piece onto the bigger piece. I'm not using very much. So now I have my stem and my leaves. And now I just put glue along the bottom of the stem. And then I look at my apple and see how my seeds look kind of like going in this way. That's how I'm going to choose where the top of my apple is. And I'm going to put this on the back of the plate. And I'm going to press it down, and then I have my apple. Thanks for stopping by.